Differential pulse code modulation is the topic of this lecture, which is also known as DPCM. This technique of modulation is an extension of PCM. We have covered PCM in previous lecture, which actually converts an analog signal into digital. PCM involves three major stages: sampling, quantization, and encoding. After applying encoding, finally, the message signal, which is analog or continuous signal, is converted into a stream of bits, which we call as digital signal. The major challenges in PCM are related with bandwidth requirement. The amount of bandwidth which is required in PCM is reduced in the extended version of PCM called as DPCM, that is differential pulse code modulation method. So let's see and let's begin with actually how does PCM work. These are the stages I was talking about. The PCM produces a series of numbers or digits. You can see here stream of bits, series of numbers, stream of digital bits or digital data is produced. Each one of these digits represents approximate amplitude of signal sample, and the message signal is represented by a sequence of coded pulses. So what is important here in PCM, if you look at carefully this picture, there is an analog signal. This analog signal goes to now three major stages. Number one, sampling. Number two, quantizing. And number three, encoding. In sampling, it produces sampled output. Look at here. Sampled output. Sometimes we call it as PAM output also. Pulse amplitude modulated, where you can find the amplitude of all the pulses are proportional to the instantaneous value of modulating signal. Look at carefully. The way instantaneous value of the modulating signal is changing or increasing or decreasing, accordingly the amplitudes of pulses are increasing or decreasing. So this is done by sampling. Now we need some approximation, some rounding off, so that an appropriate encoding could be applied. And therefore we quantize this signal and we get an approximated signal by rounding off process. There is a process involved in quantization, which we have covered in previous lecture. So we will not emphasize here on quantization, sampling and encoding separately. The idea is to briefly understand how does PCM convert analog signal into stream of bits. That's why we are discussing this block diagram. And this quantized output is subjected to encoding, where that encoding takes place. The sample amplitudes are encoded in a particular manner, assigning binary codes to different labels in the quantized labels by assigning suitable strip size. And finally, the data is converted as the stream of data, that is stream of numbers. This is one more example where you can see that exactly how does PCM work. You can find here this blue colored signal. This blue colored signal is the actual signal which we want to encode, for which we want to obtain PCM signal. This green colored signal is the approximated signal for This green colored signal is approximated signal for this analog signal. And the next step, which we know that if you can see here in this signal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 0 to 7, there are 8 steps which are called as size of each step is called as step size. And each step is further divided into S by 2 because the random error in the quantization process can be estimated up to S by 2 level. So that's a process we will not discuss. But then what happens? Then finally each level is assigned some unique code, right? Suppose we assign 0 to 001, 1 to 0 to 000, 1 to 001, 2 to 010, 3 to 011, 4 is 100, 5 is 101, and so on. So the respective samples, if you can check, the respective samples will be nearer to any of the binary codes. Say the first pulse, which is nearer to 1, you know, the 1 is assigned as 001. So this outputs 001, the next one 011, the next one you look at here, there are two pulses which are 6 and 6 nearer to 6. So they will be 110, 110, there are two 110s. And then there comes next level, which is again 011. Then the next level is nearer to 2, which is 010. Then there are two ones, 001, 001. The next one is 010, and the next one is the 4, is 100. So this blue signal, which is actually the analog signal, is approximated signal, and its approximated signal is this green colored signal. And then encoded signal is this one. So you can understand all the steps are involved in this diagram. The sample data has been converted as a quantized data here, because before it's purely in the form of pulses. So those pulses have been approximated, brought near to some step size and half of the step size, and then the encoding process assigns the numbers, and finally the signal is converted into stream of bits. This is one more example. The difference between this one and this one is, you can see here each pulse, each sample is assigned 4 different bits, 4 bits each pulse. Why it is so? It is because of, you can compare this and this. Here 8 step size, that is 8 steps are there, but in this case there are 16 steps. 16 steps. What is the difference? You can find here when the number of steps is less, the approximation is, not better, because deviation is so much here if you can compare the signal. But if you increase, is it, of course it's for different signal, but you can find that when there are more steps used, quantization steps, then you can find that signal is more approximated. So please try to understand. It means there is no difference between the difference between actual signal and the approximated signal has become smaller. So the quantization error reduces. Quantization error becomes small when we increase the step, when we decrease the step size, or we have more number of steps. But in this process, in order to reduce the quantization error, what is that we have to sacrifice is each pulse. You see that when you increase the number of steps, you will have more approximated steps, and each step is requiring that too more number of bits. So overall, the number of bits required in order to transmit one single periodic, single duration of the signal becomes so large. So this is how, see, when the signal is flowing in a continuous manner and the period is very less, what will happen? There will be hundreds of repetitions, and each repetition is requiring hundreds of bits. So this is how the total number of bits required in order to encode the signal becomes large. The number of bits becomes very high, and therefore the bandwidth requirement, that is what is important, is bandwidth requirement is high. bandwidth requirement becomes an important factor, because we know that the bandwidth is an expensive factor in communication system or anywhere. Bandwidth is not cost effective. It's an expensive factor. Therefore, more bandwidth. But yes, when we are sacrificing more bandwidth, when we are paying for more bandwidth, we are reducing better signal quality, and with that reduced quantization noise. So this is all about PCM. And now, after concluding about PCM, you can understand that in PCM we are encoding all the pulses, and say when we increase the number of steps, if we want to increase more number of steps, say we want 5 bits each pulse, so what will happen? There will be 32 steps, and of course we'll get better output, better signal strength. The problem is each pulse, and that too number of pulses has also increased. Now 32 steps will increase the number of pulses. Number one, each pulse will require 5 bits, so bandwidth has increased. But this is a difficult issue in the PCM, though it's a very effective method used to convert analog signal into digital form. But of course, there is a challenge, there is a constraint related to the bandwidth. So, and see, this is the overall, block diagram of the PCM system, where you can understand analog signal. This we have already discussed in previous lecture. It is passed to LPF so that we allow the desired signal to be sampled and encoded. Then it is sampled, quantized, and encoded. We get the PCM output, then we transmit it through the channel, but between or via the channel, there are a number of regenerative repeaters which are used in order to strengthen up the signal strength, because in the channel there are a lot of possibilities of signal degradation. So that gets strengthened up, that gets boosted up by using regenerative repeaters. And then we use decoder, reconstruction, filter, and destination. This is the block diagram of PCM. Now comes Nyquist rate, because see, when we are discussing about PCM or DPCM, Nyquist rate is very important. Therefore, let's understand about Nyquist rate as well, because sampling is involved in either DPCM or PCM. So what is sampling? Sampling converts and sampling provides band signal. So we get samples. So we use a sampling operator, sampling function, which has some sampling period, which has some frequency called as sampling frequency. There is a rule, there is a rate, which is Nyquist rate, called as twice of FM. What is FM? FM is maximum frequency of message signal which we want to modulate, which we want to encode. So what is Nyquist rate? Nyquist rate says that the sampling frequency is twice of sampling frequency is double of maximum frequency of message signal. And there is a theorem involved related to Nyquist rate called as sampling theorem, which has to be observed. And what is sampling theorem? It says that sampling rate must be greater than Nyquist rate, which means the sampling frequency must be greater than twice of maximum modulating frequency. Otherwise, there will be aliasing. If sampling theorem is not satisfied, it is not observed, then there will be aliasing. What is aliasing? Aliasing is there will be overlap between the two adjacent components when the frequency is less than twice of FM. The spectral component of first signal and the spectral components of adjacent signal, adjacent channel may interfere, may overlap, and that overlap causes distortion in the system. In the telephonic communication, we call it as, means one of the example of distortion is in the form of crosstalk. Crosstalk is never desired in any communication system. So therefore, although there are some pre-aliasing filters which are used to address this difficulty, but the best possible way in dealing with aliasing problem in PCM, DPCM or delta modulation is to choose the sampling frequency which is greater than twice of maximum frequency of modulating signal. These are the applications which we have discussed already of PCM, digital video recording, digital video, voicemail, radio control devices, transmitters and receivers for remote control cars, boats, planes, etc. There PCM is used where the analog signal can be converted in the form of bits, then again it can be detected and it can be again brought back in the form of analog signal while receiving the signal which was transmitted by the transmitter, that is PCM encoder. So these are the applications where the PCM is used. So DPCM, the next, in remaining time we'll discuss about DPCM. It stands for differential PCM, differential pulse code modulation. So in the name itself, PCM is there. So it's an extension of PCM, differential pulse code. There is a meaning of differential pulse code, which we'll see in the next slide. What happened? This technique samples the analog signal and then quantizes. Now let us see the difference. Quantizes the difference between sampled value and predicted value, and then encodes the signal to form a digital value. What is difference? In the PCM, you have seen that all the sampled pulses are quantized, and then quantized output is encoded. Quantized output is encoded. But here, before we apply our signal, before we pass our signal to quantization, we do not pass all the samples. Rather, we pass only the difference between the two samples. What do we mean by two samples? The next sample, the past sample which was communicated, and the incoming signal. What is the difference between the two samples? Then again there will be incoming signal. So incoming signal and the current sample. So the difference between two neighboring samples, is quantized and then encoded. So in quantization itself, there are a lot of benefits we'll get. Number one, we will not quantize more number of samples, we'll quantize difference only. So that is reducing the effort which we put in quantization process. That will reduce the computational complexity, that will reduce the amount of computation which we perform while doing the quantization process. Is it clear? So this is one benefit. What is second is we are not passing all the samples. So it means all the samples will not be encoded. So what will happen if all the samples are encoded in PCM? We have discussed that the bandwidth required becomes high. Bandwidth increases when we increase the number of samples. And if in DPCM we are reducing more and more number of samples just by sending difference between the two samples, and this is why the bandwidth saving is there in DPCM. The samples of signal are highly correlated. Why can we do it? What is the fundamental principle of DPCM? How does it provide an extension to PCM? How does it provide improvement to PCM? It is because we know that the samples are always correlated with each other. When we convert analog signal into samples, at least the neighboring samples will have some correlation. What do you mean? Its value from present sample to the next sample does not differ by a large amount. That too in the analog form. In the analog form, suddenly there is no sudden change in the strength of the signal. So when you encode, when you get the PAM signal and then convert into the form of samples, the value of the next sample and the previous sample, these values do not differ much. So rather than sending all the pulses, we'll find what is the difference. If there is no difference, we'll not send anything. It means the previous sample which was communicated, the system will assume that, okay, this is the same beat pattern which will be communicated, and it will automatically, transmit that beat pattern which was recently transmitted. So the adjacent samples of signal carry almost the same information if the difference is very small. Is it clear? If the difference is very small, So the almost same information will be carried by the next sample whose difference is very less with the current sample. That is the fundamental principle of DPCM. When these samples are encoded by standard PCM, the resulting encoded signal contains some redundant information bits. Unnecessarily, you are sending all the samples. So the redundancy in terms of number of bits used is increasing. And that is the main difficulty of PCM, which is overcome by the DPCM. This is one picture where you can understand. If you see here, this is 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. So there is a difference. But if you see here, these three samples, 1, 1, 0, the equivalent value, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Even in the analog, analog values are almost same. Then again come to next three pulses, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. This is at 9th sampling interval. They're almost same. So why will we see when we reach from 6th sample to 7th sample, there is a difference. So this difference will be transmitted. Then we come to this next pulse, there is no difference. So, nothing will happen. So the current bit recently communicated stream of bits will be communicated. So what do we do in DPCM? Adjacent samples will see the difference. And when there is a difference between the two adjacent samples, that only is communicated in the form of one bit, right? And that is very interesting thing. Only one bit. That is another interesting thing. It's an intelligent decision in DPCM to take a predicted sample value assumed from its previous output and summarizes them with quantized values, which is called as DPCM. So we have to use some predictor that can predict that the previous and next, past and next values, how much is the difference. So therefore, all the values which are subsequently being forwarded, they need to be stored somewhere in order to compare with the next sample. So there will be requirement of a predictor. If the redundancy is reduced, the overall bit rate will decrease as the number of bits required to transmit one sample will also reduce. It works on the principle of prediction that may not be exact, but it is very close to the actual sample value. As we are working on difference calculation only, and that too, the difference is being calculated by the predictor. So there may be some error, but almost it will be nearer to the actual sample value. The difference will not be that much. So this is a diagram which is called as transmitter for DPCM, right? So if you look at the diagram, block diagram carefully, you can see there is a sampled input. As I already told you, sampling is a common phenomenon. Sampling is a common process involved in PCM, DPCM, or other extension like delta or adaptive delta modulation techniques. So sampled input, therefore we are writing X and TS. We do not write analog signal as X and TS. In place of a small t, we have written NTS, where n is an integer and TS is the sampling period. So when we change n as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we will get the different pulses at TS, 2TS, 3TS, 4TS, 5TS. There are simple different sampling intervals, different pulses are there. So therefore, this is not an analog signal, but a PAM signal, but a sampled signal. Now the sampled signal is passed through a comparator. Why there is a need of comparator? In order to compare the difference between the adjacent or near neighboring samples. Therefore, we are using a comparator or a mixer, right, where we are passing two signals. This is approximated sample X cap NTS, and this is the actual sample. Okay, and if there is a difference, this is called as error signal. Look at here, E and TS, and this is also a discrete value because both the signals are discrete values. So this E and TS is a discrete error signal, which is difference between X and TS actual minus X cap NTS, which is approximated. Means the past sample which is stored somewhere approximately. So then the difference is quantized. Difference is quantized. Quantization is there. We are not saying quantization doesn't work. Quantization will work. But see, if now there is no difference, no quantization is needed. and therefore will reduce the number of bits required in order to encode and quantize. But if there is no change, obviously what will happen that the recently communicated stream of bits or bit will get communicated. And then the quantized error, quantized error is passed through quantizer, and then again it is quantized. That quantized error signal, what is error signal? Quantized difference signal is encoded. This is the main difference between PCM and DPCM. So after encoding, we'll get the DCM signal. But what is another interesting thing here in PCM, that is DPCM, is in PCM there was no any feedback, there was no any loop. But here you can see there is a feedback. What is feedback? Some part of output is again going back to the input. So there is a feedback, and what is this? This error signal is coming, and based on the error signal, right, we approximately compute that X and TS, that is quantized X and TS, and then we keep in a prediction filter. We pass through a prediction filter which is subjected to comparator, and it means this quantized difference, the equivalent sample, right? Equivalent sample, quantized difference will equivalently correspond to some sample. That sample is actually compared with the next sample. Is that clear? So, and that is passed, and when there will be no difference, automatically, there will not be any error, and that previous bit pattern can be communicated. So, the predicted value is produced by using a prediction filter. This makes a prediction closer to the actually sampled signal. The quantizer error signal, quantized signal, error signal is very small and can be encoded by using a small number of bits. Small number of bits. In delta modulation, we encode in 1 bit, but in DPCM, we encode in multiple bits. But obviously, rather than encoding a big sample value, large sample value, now we are calculating, we are encoding the difference between the two samples. Okay, there is a sample at D side and there is a sample at B side. So what is the difference? Of course, difference will be very small value. So the difference, the sample corresponding to that difference is encoded. A very fewer number of bits will be required in the encoding process. What is the biggest benefit before this? That in quantization, all the samples are not subjected, right? Only those samples are quantized which are having some difference, and that to those difference samples which correspond to certain, which are indicated by some error signals, and subsequently corresponding samples are encoded. So lesser number of bits will be required, and quantized version of the signal is the sum of original sample and quantized error, which we have talked about in the diagram. And the quantized error can be positive or negative, but there will be difference, and accordingly encoding will work. The next coming signal, the strength of next incoming signal will be less than the previous one, so the difference will be negative. So difference may be positive or negative. Equivalently, whatever is the difference, that amount of difference is encoded rather than the polarity. This is about the receiver. The receiver consists of decoder and prediction filter, because prediction is again needed so as to synchronize, so as to again predict the correct value, and decoder will decode the encoded signal which was communicated by the transmitter. In the absence of noise, encoded receiver input will be the same as encoded transmitter output. If there is no noise, so whatever was communicated in the output will get exactly the same thing. So this block diagram is, and therefore we are using predictor so that the same sample is being received or not, and accordingly we'll get the output. The predictor undertakes a value based on previous output. Okay, the input given to the decoder is processed, and the output is summed up with the output of predictor into opt-in beta output. The decoder will reconstruct the quantized from the original signal. Here decoder which is used is the main role of decoder is to reconstruct the signal which was encoded, and then signal at the receiver differs from actual signal. If there is any difference, So this quantization error is introduced. There still remains some error, after finally decoding and getting us the output sample. So that will result error in the reconstructed signal. There may be error. The channel might have introduced some amount of error, which would definitely impact the signal quality. This is one, comparison of DPCM and PCM. If you see DPCM and PCM can use 4 number of bits, 8, 16, 32 number of bits per sample. Whereas in DPCM, whatever number of bits required per sample in PCM, in DPCM it will become very, very less as compared to PCM. Fixed step size and cannot vary. In PCM, the number of stage size doesn't change. And in DPCM, a fixed number of levels are used. Step size and the number of levels will definitely vary because we are not quantizing all samples, but we are quantizing only difference between these. So the role of or the concept of step size comes while we perform the quantization. But when we are not quantizing all the samples, rather we are quantizing the difference, it means the fixed number of levels will only be used. Bit redundancy is present in PCM, whereas in DPCM, no redundancy is present. In PCM, bit redundancy is there. In DPCM, there is no bit redundancy, and that is the biggest advantage in DPCM as compared to PCM method. Quantization error depends on number of levels used. How many number of levels are there? If more number of levels, lesser quantization error. Lesser number of quantization levels, more quantization error. Slope overload error is the factor sometimes, and quantization noise are present still they are present in the DPCM, but very less as compared to PCM. The slope overload error is when the quantization has resulted some amount of noise and some amount of error signal. That also is seen as a form of, or in the form of slope overload error. When we see the compounding characteristic, then we'll find that how much slope overload distortion has been introduced. So that whatever is the unwanted effect, that is slope overload error or quantization noise, they are greatly reduced, and that is less in DPCM as compared to PCM. Bandwidth is more in PCM. In DPCM, lesser bandwidth, because in all the samples, more and more number of bits are required in PCM, whereas in DPCM, only difference samples are only transmitted, and that too, those different samples are having lesser amplitude, so that those different sample terms will require lesser number of bits. That would consequently give us advantage of lesser bandwidth requirement. No feedback in transmitter and receiver in PCM, and in DPCM, feedback is exist. We have seen there is a loop, there is a feedback. And PCM, the transmitter and receiver are complex, but the DPCM, you have seen that we are only using predictor, quantizer, and comparator. That is a mixer, and then encoder. So there is no other components which are required in PCM. So complexity is not very large in DPCM, which is less as compared to the PCM. Applications are mainly in speech, image, and audio signal compression, where see in compression technique what is required, that we want the signal to be communicated so that less number of bits are required. So therefore in compression technique, since when you compare, because what is the ultimate of digital signal processing or digital image processing? We need to process digital images. For that we need digital signals, and PCM can help us. But when PCM does it, it will require more number of bits for converting each samples, or we can say each pulses, each pixels of the images. That would correspondingly be lesser requirement in the case of DPCM, and therefore compression becomes easier with the DPCM. Medical compression these days in modern medical diagnosis, once in one place the image modalities are captured, and to the distant places the doctors are there, the radiologists and physicians are there, they can prescribe and they can diagnose those images. So rather than communicating and transmitting large dimension of images, we can transmit the compressed image so that there is no loss of information as well. So in medical image compression, real-time application of medical imaging such as telemedicine, online diagnosis, where we need to transmit huge number of images to the distant places through the media, through the channel, the compression is very much needed. So in these compression techniques, compression applications, this DPCM plays an important role. So we can, I think, just summarize here that DPCM is, this lecture is all about DPCM. DPCM is differential pulse code modulation, which is an extension of PCM. We have seen that PCM employs three major stages: sampling, quantization, and encoding. Sampling converts sampled output or PAM output, which is given to quantization. In quantization, there is a process that we have to choose a number of steps, choosing a suitable step size. When a step size is very small, more number of steps will be there. Number of bits required to encode will be more. So the bandwidth required becomes more. So, and because sometimes what happens when you go from one sample to next sample, the difference between the two samples, adjacent and neighboring samples, is not very big, but we encode them unnecessarily, irrespective of whether the encoded bits are same. But we apply the quantization, we apply the encoding unnecessarily to the same or repeating samples. So this difficulty is addressed in the DPCM, and in the DPCM, what do? We, rather than communicating and quantizing all the samples, we quantize only difference between the two samples. So if there may be a sample and there may be a neighboring sample, and whatever is the difference between the two samples, the difference term, which will be of course smaller than both the terms, both the samples, is encoded, so that requires lesser number of bits in encoding. So this is how the redundant bits or the problem of redundancy is addressed. And secondly, the number of bits required to encode all the pulses, all the difference pulses becomes less. So the main advantage of using DPCM over PCM is the saving or reduction of the bandwidth, and therefore in the compression applications like digital image compression, medical image compression used in telemedicine, online diagnosis system, video compression, and other signal compression techniques, digital signal compression techniques, we can use DPCM in order to save, in order to reduce the bandwidth, so that effective utilization of bandwidth for other applications could be used. But we need to remember one thing in DPCM, that how do we check and how do we ensure that there is a difference between the two neighboring pulses or two neighboring samples. For that, one extra element is used, electronic or signal processing element is used in DPCM called as predictor. So predictor is used at the transmitter as well as receiver in order to check how much is the difference between the actual sample and the next sample in the approximated sample, actual sample and approximated sample, which is coming through the quantized error signal, because that difference will be always encoded, quantized and encoded. So this is how we have discussed about DPCM as a differential pulse code modulation method used in digital image compression, medical image compression, digital signal compression, digital audio video compression, digital speech compression techniques. DPCM is very useful. So that's all for this lecture now. Thank you.